Hi guys, welcome back to Crafty Quilting Designs. I hope you're well and having a fantastic day. Okay guys, so I'm wondering, how is everyone getting on with their Christmas quilt? Now I know you're probably there just having fun doing it, and I know it's going to take a little bit of a long time to get it all sorted, but keep pressing through. You will make it and you will be so proud of yourself. Now before I forget, I just wanted to remind you that once you've completed your quilt, can you please send me a picture? I would love to see it, and I'd love to also share with everybody else on YouTube. So I will put my email address down below in the description box, so it's really easy for you, so you can just press that and you go straight to my blog, and that way you can send me a picture and I will be so excited. You all don't know how excited I am to actually see these quilts. So I'm really happy and very proud of everybody who has actually taken part. Okay, so well done guys. Thumbs up to you. Okay, now we're moving on to our Christmas gris. Okay, start again. We're moving on to our Christmas gift sew along. So I thought that we can actually start making gifts for families and friends, because obviously everyone loves to receive a handmade gift. Now I've been asked already to make a Christmas quilt, and I was like, whoa, not sure about that just at the moment, not yet, because you know they've seen the quilt and they want, I want one. I was like, take a deep breath before I actually answer that one. Okay, but we can make smaller projects that people can still value, love and appreciate. So our first Christmas gift along is going to be 2 table runners. Now I've made a Christmas one and an ordinary everyday one, you know, so you can give one as a Christmas gift and you can still give the other as a Christmas gift, but they can use it anytime throughout the year, you know. So so this is our gift sew along number 1. So let us go do that now, and hopefully you enjoy the process as much as I did. It was really fast. I actually did use most, if not, I wouldn't say all, because I still have some Christmas fabrics left over from our Christmas quilt, and I did use the scraps and bits and bobs and cut down and trim and put together to actually make the Christmas table runner. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a plaid one, so I'm sure you'd enjoy doing that, and it doesn't really take long, to be honest. I've actually as well roll it up so to prepare it, and this is the second one that I was referring to, that you can use every day, and I've just rolled it up really nicely. Now this one is slightly smaller. This one comes in, I think, at 54, whereas the other one comes in at 59 in length, and they're both this one is 15 in width and the other one is 17 in width, so they're really lovely size for the table. They both fit my table really beautifully, so yes, I'm sure the receivers will be quite pleased with them. So don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and of course give me a thumbs up if you enjoy my videos, or if you're still listening to me rattle on, because I know I can rattle on a little bit. Even my students say that to me, ma'am, you're still talking. And I was like, well, I'm explaining to you. What do you expect? But there you go. That's just me. I go into detail. So guys, enjoy the video, and happy quilting. I'll see you next week for our gift along too. Bye for now. Alright, so let's get started on this. It's a really fun project. It's quick and it's not going to take long to put together. As you can see, I have used scraps from my fat quarters. If you've got jelly rolls, you can do that. These are leftover projects, fabrics from the quilt. Alright, so we're going to be using up all the Christmas fabrics that we have, and if you've got any, by all means join in with Christmas fabrics, or you can use ordinary fabric for this one. It doesn't have to be Christmas fabrics. Okay, now I'm using up Christmas fabrics because I think it's going to look brilliant and I can just get rid of them. Okay, so this is our gift selection gift guide for our Christmas projects. Right, so to start with, I have made a 9 patch. All right, and as you can see, I have divided it down into lights and dark. So in this particular case, for the 9-patch, I have used reds and black for my darks, and I have used here 4, and I'm going to call these the medium ones, because when I go over to the lights, you will see why I call these the mediums. All right, so you need 4 mediums and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 darks. And in this case, as I said, I have divided my darks down into 3 red and 2 black at the corners to make your 9-patch. Okay, now you can coordinate this with the whole table runner however you see fit. Now let's move on to the balance of the measurements that you need. So my strips here, and I'm going to call these my dark, and I'm using green. Okay, so for my dark greens, these are 10 inches in length by 2.5 inch in width, and I have 4 of these for my darks here and in green. Remember, we are compiling this in reference to light, mediums and darks. All right, so for this one here, I am using 4 darks, and this is 2.5 in width by 10 inches in length. All right, I also need the same for my red, and again these are darks. All right, so in this case again I have 4, and it's the same size as the green. And for my mediums, I have the same number again, 4. All right, so just to make sure that you can see that clearly there, so 4, and these are my mediums, again 10 inch length by 2.5 inch in width. Now for my whites, and I'm calling these my lights, okay, I have 12. So 12 of these strips at the same length as 10 inch and 2.5. All right, now I also need some 2.5 inches square, and again I'm using 2 darks, but in this particular instance I'm using red and dark green. Now if you can notice, I have different shades of green. Okay, so for these ones here I have 2 greens for darks, but I have a darker green for the 4 10-inch strips. All right, and these are 2.5 inch squares, and I need 2 of these, and for the red ones I need 10 of these ones. All right, and again these are my darks and darks, but it's up to you however you want to do this. At the end of the day, it's a scrappy look we're going for, because it's a scrappy Christmas table plaid runner. All right, okay, so let me show you how to line this up now. So obviously you'll make your 9-patch, and we're going to start by laying it all out. So I'm going to put some of these to the side, so to give myself some room, because it's going to actually spread out. We're going to start with the 9-patch in the middle. Okay, now it's up to you if you want to use these as your points, whether it's your dark on black or black gold on dark, or you're using your red. In this particular case, I'm going to use the red because I planned the red in this 3 rows for a particular reason. So I'm going to turn it this way. All right, so what I'm going to do now is start with my lights, my 10 lights, and I'm going to lay it there, and I'm going to put those aside for now, and I'm going to work with my 2.5 inch square red, so I'm going to put that there, and the next one is going to be a light, and I'm only going to do one side at the moment. Okay, you can lay them all out, but you will be stitching one side at the moment. Now what I wanted to point out, if you're using print that has, you know, prints that's upright, you need to make sure you lay it that way. So I can see mine is already upside down, so I'm going to turn it right side up, okay, so that it lays like this. All right, next I'm going to go with a medium, and again I'm going to go right up to there. All right, and again I am going to get my red and put that there. Okay, and again I'm going to go with another on that side. Notice what I'm doing, so I'm alternating the colors. All right, now, and then I'm going to go with another light, and again I'm going to go and put it right next to the red. All right, Again, get another of my 2.5 squares, and again put that right there. And I'm only going to do 5 of these alongside here, and you will know why. Okay, you will know why I'm doing 5. So I'm just spreading myself out so I have enough room. And again, I'm just going to fit this one in, making sure that it is in the right position so that the print is upright, because you know, if you stitch it incorrectly, you're gonna have to take it out. Right, so again, moving back to this one again, always start with the one you're putting down right up to the red, and then taking your next one and putting it there. I think I'm gonna have to smush down a little bit because I need space for this to grow. So let me just smush it down a bit, so bring it down there. Hopefully you can still see it in shot. Smush it all down because it does extend this table runner. So I'm going to put that there. Right, so I think we've got space now. Definitely got space now. There and there. Okay, so far I've added on 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to add on one more. So let me finish by adding on this side there. So remember, every time you add on, you must see that continuous diamond shape going all the way up. All right, so I'm going to go to my dark greens now. All right, so I'm going to take this one. If you wanted to, in fact, let's continue with the white, because I think the white looks nice. If you wanted to do that, you can, no big deal. I just feel that I think these two fabrics together is a little bit too busy. So I'm going to break it up. As much as it is a scrappy Christmas table runner, I still want to make it, you know, pleasant to my eyes. So, and that one goes there. And I'm going to fit in my 2.5-inch square there. Now I'm going to go in with the green and add that there and do it on the other side there, and add in my last one there. Okay, now I've got one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'm actually going to remove that. Yep, because I only needed 5 on that line. Oh no, to the line. I'm going to leave that there. Sorry, to the line. I forgot I had my green squares. And to the last one now is where this one actually comes in, and that goes there. So you're thinking, oh well, you know, realistically red against red is not going to work. So that's why I have now my green there, and I'm going to place right at the top there. I'm going to move that aside so you can see it a little bit. Okay, so I have my green there, and I'm just going to simply add on my other red right there. Okay, so that's one side of my table runner ready, and then obviously we're going to do the same on the other side. Okay, so let me bring the camera back. Now what's going to happen now is how we're going to stitch this together. So I'm going to put the balance aside for now, because I know now exactly what's happening. So I should have the same amount of all of the strips and 2.5 for this side to do on this side here. Okay, now if you wanted to, you could just simply lay it all out, and again you will copy what's on this side. So you will start with your white around there, same way, okay, by adding your 2.5 there, and you will do exactly the same thing. You just make sure and stretch that out so it's nice and flat. All right, that's it there, and just continue the same thing, because these are supposed to overlap. That is correct, you haven't done anything wrong. And again, make sure that it's aligned properly. Okay, so and then you continue with the rest of it as you have done on this particular side. Now to sew this together, and I'm just going to remove this for now, so that we don't get ourselves confused. And let's put that to the side. So we're going to work with one side at the moment. So the first we're going to stitch on is this one here, front sides together. All right, once you've done that front sides together, you are then going to stitch this one front side together. Okay, once you've done that, you will then, this will now be stitched on, these will be stitched on, and then you can join this together. All right, so then it will be joining this particular way. All right, and then you will continue throughout. So let's go sew this together, this side, and then I will show you how the first side is done, and then you can do the next side on your own, and I'll show you exactly how to trim up all around it. So let's go do that now. All right, so to sew this together now, let's start with taking the lines, putting it front sides together on your 9 patch. Again, making sure that it is lined up properly and it is in the right orientation, i.e. it is upright. Okay, and I'm going to line it up, and again use a 1/4 inch seam to do this. Alright, so once this side is on, put it back in its rightful place. Okay, don't worry about that at the moment, we're going to take care of that later. So what we're going to do now is pick up this one and stitch it on there, front sides together. Okay, and all I'm doing is finger pressing, and I'm folding it back to the dark side. Alright, just folding it back. I'm just using my finger and press it to the dark side. And what I'm going to do now is to make sure these 2 points here line up. I'm going to do that front sides together there, and then stitch it on. And that is simply it. That's how you're going to go all the way down until everything is stitched together completely. Just make sure that all of your seams lay flat and nothing is raised. And that's that one there. So you can see that point matches up really nicely. I'm going to bring it closer to you, so hopefully you can see that there matches up really nicely together. So again, just be reminded to keep it in its rightful position, so that way you don't get yourself confused and you can continue. And again, I'm just going to sew this one now onto there. It doesn't take long, it actually sews together quite quickly. It is not a long, lengthy project at all. It comes together very quickly, as I said. So just continue with it all the way until you're finished, and then you shall just do the other side. So that's that one on there, and again the same applies. I am just finger pressing it out, and again let the seams go where it wants to, obviously, because it's we got seams there, so it's going to push it towards me, so just let it fall where it wants to. Same thing applies with this one now, and again that 2.5 inch square goes on to the medium strip because we are in that section now, and again line it up. and you continue to sew. Again, finger press, folded front sides together. So I'm going to finish this all off, and I'm going to come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so the first part has been added on. I haven't pressed stitches yet, so I'm going to do the other side now, and we are going to do the exact same thing as we did for the first side. So we're going to follow the color formation pattern and then do this on the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to start with my white, again making sure that I put my fabrics the right way up, because I want my fabrics heading towards this way now in terms of the print going towards the right, and the print in terms of whatever is on there, so Christmas trees, whatever, it's on the left. Okay, and again I'm going to line it up there to the edge, and I'm going to get my red 2.5 and then put it there, and the same thing with the other one goes there. And yes, these need to overlap, so don't worry about that, because we are going to trim the edges there so it's nice and straight, so not to worry about that at the moment. Okay, so again, continue with the layout again. So every time you put a strip down, you put it up to the 2.5 there, right to the edge of the 2.5, and then you add on that one there, and then you add on the other one. Now I've made a mistake, that's not supposed to go there. Now realistically, there is no set rules on how you add the strips. It's entirely down to you. Okay, I just choose to lay it out in this way. Also, you can make it as long as you want. It doesn't have to stop there. In fact, I have added on an extra one, because initially there was 10 of the red. I think I've added on an extra 2 to make it longer. So you can go as long as you want. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you how long you make the table runner. Okay, and again I'm going to continue now with my white, again adding it to the point there first, and then adding on my 2.5 there at the top, then move on to this one, and then again add on that one there, and this one goes right there. Okay, so I'm going to just move the camera down a little bit so you can see me finish this up. Right, so the next strip now is going to be my white again, and again my balance of that one there, that goes up, and the last white goes there. As you can see, the table runner is growing, so the more you add on, the more longer it gets. And the last red goes there, and my green strips right goes on there. Just move that down a little bit so you can see that further. And the last one is the red again that goes on the side, and for my last 2.5 is the green, is what I finished with. All right, and that goes there as well. I'm going to move that down further. Hopefully you can see that at the top there. So that's it, literally. All right, so what I'm going to do now is bring this back into the middle, so you can see the other end there where the green ends. So you have your green and all of your red, so that get that diamond shape going all the way through the center of the table runner. Okay, now if you wanted to make this a plain piece of fabric, you can. You don't necessarily have to continue that sort of square in a square there, or that diamond cut all the way. You don't need to continue that. It's up to you. You can just have a normal piece of fabric in there. All right, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, and again you can make it bigger because you know we're going to be losing all of this here, so you can make your strips longer if you wanted to make your table runner wide. Remember, these strips are 10, so if you wanted to do 12 and make the strips, the 9 patch bigger, you can. It's entirely down to you and how you change it around and make it your own. That's the whole point of this. So I'm going to continue now stitching these together. So let me just pull it apart. So the same will apply. I will then take my first strip, stitch it on there, and when I am stitching, I'm going to go all the way down. I'm going to go all the way down to the end. Don't worry about that. So cross over and go all the way down. Do not just stop there, because we are going to trim it anyway, so not to worry about that. Okay, and then you will have that goes there. All right, and then again this one goes to the front there. You stitch it all on, and then you join the both of them together like so, just like we've done before. So let me go and complete that, and then I'll come back and show you how the best way to actually press this. Okay, so the top is ready now, and we're going to iron this. Right, so I've already finger pressed it, as you know, while I was actually sewing, just to make it nice and smooth and flat as possible. Now just remember that along the edges is bias, okay? So just try your best not to stretch it. I'm going to smoothen it out with my hands, and I'm going towards the grain like that so that it stretches out really nicely. Okay, and as usual, I am using a very warm iron. It's not hot at all. I'm just flatten it all out. That's what I usually do. Now at this point you should be checking. Let me just lower that temperature because I really don't want the steam at the moment. At this point you're checking to make sure that all of the seams are really flat, and as usual, you know, I like to be able to glide the iron over. Okay, and my iron is steaming up and I'm not happy about that, but the good thing is it's not stretching or anything, because I didn't really lower the temperature down as I usually do. So I'm going to continue again and again, making sure that I can feel that the seams are laying where they're supposed to be. Okay. And I'm really being gentle with this. I really am. I am not being overzealous at all with it. I'm literally just taking my time, as you can tell, and I'm moving up on the board. Just be very gentle with it. Now once we've done this and you're happy, I'm just going to add some steam now. Now deliberately adding the steam to it. Excellent. And just making sure it's really lovely and flat. And we're going to measure and cut all of these stray edges here off. And again, just to ensure when you pull these apart, just make sure that it's all flat and the seams here is not folded over, because that can happen. As you know already, once you join these fabrics together, where there's a seam, there is always a likelihood of it being folded. So just be careful of that and be mindful of it. Right, okay, so I'm happy with that. It looks lovely and flat to me now. So I'm going to bring my cutting mat in, and I'm literally going to cut this, all of the edges where it's zigzag, so that we have a nice straight line, and we can then add a border around it. So let me get my cutting mat, or in fact let's bring the cutting mat over and we'll get ready to do that. Alright guys, so let's cut the edges off. Now my ruler here is 6 inches wide, and I'm going to cut this at 5.5, and what I'm going to do is to line up my half on the edge of the point of my diamond here. Okay, now I do not want it in the middle there, I want it there, and the reason why is because I feel that if I cut it, if I were to measure the middle here, I think my edge will be a little bit small, and I don't really want that. So I want to make it as wide as possible. My objective is to remove these edges here nice and straight as possible. So what I have decided to do is to cut it at 5.5. So as I said, I'm going to put my half on the edge along here. Now, I'm not too bothered about up there, not even there really. I'm more concerned about here because that is where my first zigzag stands. Alright, so I'm just going to go beyond there so that I can lay my half there. I'm going to lay my first point there for my half, and I'm going to line up each point along there to make sure it's right at the edge where the half should sit. And once I feel happy with that, I'm going to check my edges here as well to make sure I'm cutting along it. And I can see that for some of it I may hit it and for some I may not. So I'm just adjusting and making sure that I'm literally on the half line there so that it lines up correctly. And I can see that I am literally just hitting the edge here for me to cut. So I'm just going to make sure that's all correct, because the last thing I want to do is cut it incorrectly. Now, if you feel that your edges here are not trimmed properly, what you can simply do is go in a little bit more towards the middle. But I think this is fine, and I can see it's going to remove all of those pointy zigzag edges there. Okay, so that looks fine to me. Alright, so that's that. So obviously I would have to now bring this up because the ruler is short and obviously the table runner is longer. But I'm going to make sure I line up where I was previously to ensure I get a nice straight cut. So again, making sure that my half, I'm cutting at 5.5 inches, sits at the end of my point there. And take your time when you do this. It's not a rush. You know, it's important that sometimes we remind ourselves of that, that we just simply need to just take our time when we're doing these things. Because, you know, if you cut it, well, unfortunately, you're going to have to start all over again because it's going to be wrong. So just take your time and, you know, double check and triple check. And then that way, you know, any errors has been corrected before you actually make the cut. And that's the most important thing. So don't feel that, you know, you're incompetent because you keep checking. There's nothing wrong with making sure that everything is lined up properly, because the objective here is to cut it correctly. And that's what I'm doing. I'm ensuring, because as much as I'm speaking to you, I have to also make sure I do this correctly. So I'm lining up my edges there with my previous cut then, and I can see that it's correct. And I can check all the way down to ensure that 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 half line lands there. Checking all the way down, it looks fine to me. And I'm going to get ready to go and cut. Alright, so that's one edge completed. So we need to turn it around now and do the next side. So I'm going to continue doing this, and then we'll come back and we're going to discuss whether or not we want to make the bottom square or we want to leave it at an angle as it is and then put it on the borders. So I'm going to go finish this now and I'll be back in a moment. Okay guys, so I have cut all of this, as you know, and now it's time to put the border. So I'm going to add a red border for obvious reasons. Again, I'm using up all of my scraps, or well, I should say most of my scraps. So I have my red or gold on red, and I've cut this at 2.5 inches as usual. Now before I move on to tell you how to put the borders onto this, I got busy and made another one. Now I haven't trimmed this one just as yet, but I just wanted to show you the other one without the 4 or 9 patch in the middle, sorry. And this is a blue with brown and white and, you know, nice beautiful colors. It's slightly smaller than the first one by 4 of these, so I have missing 2 there and 2 at the end, but it's made exactly the same way. And I just wanted to show you the difference between having the 9 patch in the middle and without. Either way, they still look absolutely beautiful, you know, and any can be given as a gift for a friend or, you know, family member. So, and I'm sure they would appreciate it. So we will come back to this one, but let's finish up the first one in the meantime. Okay, so we're going to do the borders now. As I said, I've cut 2.5. Now you can do this 2 ways, and I'm referring to the end here. Now if you wanted to square it off so you have the edge of it as a nice square rather than a point, you can just cut a square and cut it down the middle. All right, now you could, I'm just gonna a square here. Now I would say cut the square larger. Now this is just a 10-inch squares, and I usually have fabric just cut in case I need it for whatever particular reason. So this is a 10-inch square, and this would work. So if you wanted to add corners to it, I would say use 10-inch squares. You don't necessarily have to cut it the same size. And I'm talking about the triangle. So a 10-inch square, obviously, you will cut it down the middle on the diagonal because obviously it's wider there. But once you sew it on, you can then trim it to the actual size you want. So once you've stitched it there, then you can trim these bits off and that bit off there. And obviously it is the correct size. But this is, so our 10-inch square, if you wanted to square it off, then that will be perfect for that. So let me just get another 10-inch square so that you can see visually what I am actually referring to. All right, so if you wanted to end it that way, you can, and obviously then your ends would be a square rather than a point, but I'm going to leave mine as a point. So if you wanted to do that, I'll repeat that, a 10-inch square will be perfect. And then you can cut the 10-inch square in half, and that way you can stitch it on and then trim it down properly, and then you can quilt it. All right, but I think I would leave mine as the point. I do like it with the point actually, just because it's different. You can, you know, most of the table runners sometimes is a square end. Okay, so for the borders now, I have 2.5, and I'm going to place it there. Now we are going to, let me pull this down so that it's clear. We are going to add on another one at the top. So for now we're simply just going to put it above them. I'm going to put it on this side so you can see what I'm talking about. So they're slightly taller, and I'm talking about the border going on a little bit higher. And you can pin this as you go. So hopefully you can see that there, okay, because remember it's going to be trimmed. So once you turn this over on this side, okay, now you can make it slightly longer because mine is literally just at the tip there. Okay, so you can make it slightly longer or not. It's entirely down to you. It fits as it is. I'm not really going to bother add another strip of fabric on, okay? Because what's going to happen once we stitch this, we're simply going to cut it. So we're going to cut that bit off there. So hence the reason why I don't see it necessary to add on an extra piece of fabric, because I think I am quite safe there. So let me stitch this on, and I'll come back and show you how to do the first side, and then I'll do the other side off camera, and that way you have a more informed decision of what I'm actually trying to say to you. But before you stitch, make sure you align it properly, so you know you have a little bit on both edges sticking out. And I will pin this so that it's nice and straight, and it allows you then not to actually stretch it, because remember I said the edges here are a little bit on the bias. If I pull it there, you can see that it's pulling. All right, it's on the bias. So the border now strengthens the end of it. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. Just pin it all on. Make sure it extends at the tip there a little bit, so that you can align it properly when you go to trim. Okay, so I've stitched on the border on one side, and all I've done literally is just finger press it back so that it's nice and smooth. Now the next thing to do, as you can see, it looks very awkward here, so all I'm going to do literally is take my ruler and line up the edge here and cut it nice and straight. So I'm lining up the edge of the actual table runner and cut it. That's it. And all I'm going to do now is literally add on another end there and stitch it down, and then I will trim the excess and trim the excess. So let's go do that now. Alright guys, so I've added on the borders on both sides and trimmed on each side as well, so that it looks nice and even. Now one of the things I've actually noticed is upon putting on the red borders, I've noticed I've got red here within my patchwork. Okay, so I thought, right, okay, I've got two options. One, I can simply ignore that and add on my red borders as normal, or I can leave this as part of the borders, because realistically to the untrained eye you wouldn't really notice it. You would think that this is also part of the borders. So I could do that, and it would look really beautiful either way. Or I can simply just add on another strip, another color strip, and I've already got this strip in the patchwork already, so I thought I can just add it on there just as normal. Of course, stitch it front sides together. Now if I'm going to stitch it front sides together, I will elongate it to the top there so that I can trim it properly. Yeah, because I don't like, with these sort of patchwork, I don't like putting it exactly like that, because then I know it's a nice straighter realistic cut. And then do the same and trim it there. All right, so I can do that. That's another option. So I'll just drag it down there for my visual example, and put the other one there so that you can see what I'm talking about in terms of how that actually look. Now I think that looks okay. What do you think? I really don't see a major issue with it. It does mean that both ends would have this sort of, you know, green, red, green sort of ending to it, and I think that looks pretty good. So I think I'm going to go for that. So I'm going to stitch it front sides together, and then trim it all up, and then we're going to do the quilting now. Okay guys, so these are the two completed table runners. Don't they look beautiful? Now the first one, as you can see, I've finished it with a white binding. Let me know what you think about it. Carl wasn't too in love with the first one, but I like it. I think it looks really lovely. So the other one obviously is a Christmas one, and again remember we used a lot of our leftover Christmas fabric for this one here, so it's more like a scrappy, and obviously you can see the whole line of the diamond with the 2.5-inch square all the way down, and as you can see that I finished it with the edging as I originally said, whereas the final border meant to be a red, but it looks good with the green actually. I do like it like that. It looks really lovely. So this is our first 2 items for our Christmas gift so long, and I'm actually loving it. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you how to wrap these up as gifts and place them under my tree. For these, and these will be my first 2 gifts for whoever I decide to give them to. Actually, I'm thinking of giving that one to my mother. I know she loves Christmas. She loves Christmas, guys. I know she would appreciate that one. This one, I'm not sure whom I'm going to give it to as yet, but it will go to someone. But they look absolutely beautiful. Now, these are reversible. Let me turn this one over so you can see it. And for this one, I actually did the same colors that was actually on the front, and I did stitch in the ditch for this one. Now for the Christmas one, just back up a bit. For the Christmas one, it was just one entire piece of fabric that I did, as you can see that there. So again, it's a normal Christmas print, but it's just one piece, whereas this one I pieced the back, and you can see all of the quilting lines because, as I said, I stitched in the ditch for this one. However, for the Christmas one, I did do some quilting, and hopefully you can pick it up on that. Just take it in a little bit closer. It came out very beautifully, absolutely lovely, to be honest. So, alright, so let's go have a look at how to wrap these up to give them away and then place them under my tree. I like this one, to be honest. I am falling in love with it every time I look at it. I think it will make a very lovely runner for like a coffee table. I think it's absolutely beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And I love the fact that it is actually, you can use the back as well. Okay, so let's go wrap these up and put them under the tree. I'm getting so excited. Christmas is on its way. Okay guys, so let's do a quick little wrapping. Now, one of the good things about homemade gifts is the fact that it's personal, number one, and number two, the fact that you've taken your time to wrap it in a really beautiful manner. And all I've done here is just simply roll it, add a lovely bow around it, and I haven't rolled it too tightly. And I'm going to do the same with this one here, roll it up. And I like rolling it, the fact that you can see the pretty side, or the patchwork in this case, because you want the receiver to be really excited, to be like, oh my god, what is this, what is this? So, you know, so they see that beauty immediately. So just roll it up and get a ribbon, whatever color you want, wrap it around the same way, and then I'm going to take it and put it under the tree. So I'm going to finish this and then I'm going to take it under the tree. So let's go do that now. All right, so here we go. First present under the tree. So excited about that. Happy Christmas, guys, and happy quilting. Bye for now, and see you next time on Crafty Quilting Designs.